Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Gallagher, and today we're going to continue to solve one-step equations. So our objective is to solve one-step equations by using multiplication and division. Let's review what an equation is. An equation contains an equal sign. It is to be solved. So an equation contains an equal sign. It is to be solved. To solve one-step equations, you can use the inverse operation. So we're going to use inverse operations. And let's recall what inverse operations are. Inverse operations undo each other. Inverse operations always undo each other. So our goal for any equation, we always want to get the variable by itself. So always get the variable by itself. We always want to get the variable by itself. And let's review what a variable is. A variable is a letter used to represent an unknown number. So a variable is a letter to represent an unknown number. Common examples of variables are x and n, but you can use any letter you want to represent the unknown number. So examples include x or n, and again, any other letter you want to use to represent the number. Okay, so we want to undo multiplication. To undo multiplication, we're going to use the opposite operation, the inverse operation, which is division. So we're going to use division. So to undo multiplication, we're going to use division. And then to undo division, we're going to use the inverse operation of multiplication. So we're going to use multiplication. So again, to undo division, we're going to use multiplication. Let's do some examples together. So let's read our directions. It states, solve each equation, check your solution. Example 1, it says 3x equals 12. So you want to first identify your operation, 3x. That means we are multiplying, 3 times x. That's what that means. So we want to undo it by using the opposite operation, which is division. So we want to get rid of the 3. We want to divide both sides by 3. The 3's are going to cancel because 3 divided by 3 equals 1, which leaves us with x. And then 12 divided by 3 gives us 4. So your answer is x equals 4. And you can check your answer. You can always check your answer. So we have 3x equals 12. And we're going to substitute. We just found out x equals 4. Let's see if that works. We're going to plug it in. So we're going to say 3 times 4 equals 12. And does 3 times 4 equal 12? Yes, it does. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 equals 12. So we just solved correctly. X equals 4. Let's look at our next example. Example 2. 4x equals negative 24. So let's identify our operation. 4x means we're multiplying. So we're going to undo it by dividing. So we divide both sides by 4. 4x divided by 4, the 4's canceled because that equals 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Bring down your x and your equal sign. And then negative 24 divided by 4. Negative 24 divided by 4. Negative divided by positive is a negative. And 24 divided by 4 is 6. So our answer is negative 6. Now remember, you can check it. You can always check it to see if it works. So we have 4x equals negative 24. We're going to substitute our answer we just found, which was negative 6. So does 4 times negative 6 equal negative 24? Yes, it does. So we found the right answer. Let's look at example 3. Negative 5x equals negative 25. First, you want to identify what operation you're using. So we are multiplying, and we're going to undo it by division. So you're going to divide both sides by negative 5 because you always want to get the variable by itself. That's always our goal. The negative 5's are going to cancel because negative 5 over negative 5 gives us 1. Therefore, we're going to bring down our x value, bring down our equal sign, and we have a negative 25 divided by a negative 5. A negative divided by a negative gives us a positive, and 25 divided by 5 gives us 5. So that is your answer. Remember, you can always check if we substitute 5 for x value. Is negative 5 times 5 equal negative 25? Yes, it does. Let's do another example. So example 4 says x over 3 equals 9. Now, if you notice here, we have a fraction. And remember, whenever we see a fraction is a form of division. So when we see a fraction means to divide. So let's note that a fraction means to divide. So in this problem, in this equation, we are dividing. So we're going to undo division by multiplying. And what I like to do is, when I have a division problem and I'm going to undo my multiplying, is I like to circle my two numbers, just like that. And we're going to multiply those two numbers. So we're going to bring down our x and our equal sign, and now you're going to multiply 3 times 9. And what's 3 times 9? 27. So x equals 27. And that is your answer. Remember, you can always check your answer. You have x over 3 equals 9 in the problem. We just said x is 27. We found x as being 27. So you're going to substitute. You're going to plug it in for x. And then we have 27 divided by 3. Does that equal 9? Yes, it does. So it does work. It is the correct answer. Let's look at example 5. X over negative 5 equals 8. Again, this is division. We see a fraction, we're dividing. It's division. We're going to undo it by multiplying. So now let's circle our numbers, negative 5 and 8. And now we're going to multiply those two numbers. So we know that x equals negative 5 times 8. So we have a negative 5 times 8, and negative times a positive is a negative, and 5 times 8 is 40. So x equals negative 40. And that is your answer. Remember, you can always check. If we substitute negative 40 for x right here, is negative 40 divided by negative 5 equal to 8? Yes, it is. Let's look at example 6. Negative 10 equals x divided by negative 4. Again, circle your numbers, negative 10 and 4, and now you're going to multiply it. So you have negative 10 times negative 4 equals x. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 10 times 4 equals 40. So 40 equals x. And check your answer. See if that makes sense. We're going to substitute 40 for x, and 40 divided by negative 4, does that give us negative 10? Yes, it does. Okay, so let's look at one-step equations with fractions. So in dealing with one-step equations with fractions, we want to get rid of a fraction, and we're going to multiply that by the reciprocal. So when we multiply the reciprocal, since we need to undo multiplication by using division. And division is the inverse operation. So we want to get rid of the fraction, we're multiplying the reciprocal, since we need to undo the multiplication by using division, the inverse operation. So let's review what a reciprocal is. A reciprocal is a flipped fraction. So a reciprocal is a flipped fraction. So let's do an example of what a reciprocal would be. So our example, we'll use a common fraction, 1/2. And if I wanted to find the reciprocal, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip the numerator and denominator. So my reciprocal would be 2 over 1. You're just flipping it. Let's do another example. Say if I have 3/4 as my original fraction, and I want to find the reciprocal. I'm just going to flip it, and my reciprocal is going to be 4/3. So with that in mind, let's look at example 1. We have 2/3 x equals 8. So we are first identifying our operation. We're multiplying here, and it is a fraction. So whenever we multiply by a fraction, we want to use the reciprocal. So we're going to flip it, and we're going to do it to both sides. We're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which would be 3 over 2. Our original is 2/3, and we're going to flip it by using 3 over 2. That's the reciprocal. So now you're going to look at the equation. You have 3 over 2 times 2 over 3, x equals 8 times 3 over 2. All right, so this is going to cancel because 3 and 3 cancel and 2 and 2 cancel. So now you're left with x. Your next step is bring down the equal sign. Now we have an 8 there. Whenever you have an 8, you always want to put it over 1 when you're multiplying fractions. So now you have x equals 8 over 1 times 3 over 2. So our next step, when you're multiplying fractions, you want to multiply across. So you're going to multiply 8 times 3 and 1 times 2. So x equals 8 times 3 is 24, and 1 times 2 is 2. And we can still simplify this. 24 divided by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Therefore, x equals 12. And that is your answer. Now remember, you can check that. You could always replace 12 with x. Let's see if that works. Say we have 2/3 times 12. Does that equal 8? Well, we put that over 1. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3. 24 divided by 3 equals 8. So does that work? Is that making sense? Yes, because 8, and we have 8 in the equation. Let's do example 2 together. We have -1/2 x equals 4. So we're multiplying by a fraction, therefore we need to use the reciprocal to undo it. So we're doing -2/1. Multiplying that on both sides. And these are going to cancel. The 2's cancel and the 1's cancel. So you're left with x equals. We have a whole number 4, and you're going to put that over 1. Let's rewrite this. We have 4/1 times -2/1. Remember, when we multiply fractions, you're going to multiply across. So x equals 4 times -2 is -8. And 1 times 1 is 1. And now we have to simplify this. -8 divided by 1 gives us -8. So x equals -8, and that is your answer. See if that works. We're going to plug in -8 for x. So we have -1/2, and we just said x is equal to -8. And what does that equal? We're going to put that over 1. So you have -1 times -8 is a positive 8, and 2 times 1 is 2. Can that be simplified? Yes. 8/2 equals 4. Was our answer in the equation 4? Yes, it was. So now what I'd like you to do is the you try section. Please do numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we will discuss it in class. Thank you.